MacBook Air M2 2022 review. The MacBook Air M2 is the best laptop for those willing to spend a little bit more for a great laptop. It delivers top-notch performance, over 14 hours of battery life, and a bright and colorful display, all in the delightfully portable design. Now subscribe this channel, watch technical and press the bell icon. The MacBook Air M2 feels truly worthy of the Air name, and I am not saying that the previous MacBook M1 was not. It helped introduce the world to the power of the Apple Silicon. It's just that charming revolutionary performance and the same old chassis didn't feel or look like a cheap forward to me. New MacBook Air from $1199 tested at $1899 is the breath of fresh. You know what, and that because Apple paired an even faster M2 chip with a design that are markedly thinner and lighter. Crying this 2.7-pound notebook and using it. This is a laptop that reminds me of the ionic original Air that Steve Jobs pulled out of the Manila Involve 14 years ago. Something this light couldn't be powerful, can it? Yes, it can. You can see, and in my full MacBook Air M2 review, the new Air has an unbeatable combination of portability, performance, display quality, and overall comfort. The MacBook Air M2 is so thin it could easily be mistaken for an iPad when close, especially for the Apple logo is facing out. That's how slim this notebook is, measuring just 0.44 inches thick, with the lid open and everyday big pen looks chunky next to this machine. Overall, the Air M2 is 20% smaller than the previous Air in terms of the volume, and yet you get a bigger 13.6 inches display. I'm honestly not a fan of the notch at the top of the screen, which break the aesthetic by whooping down to the bottom of the menu bar, but I didn't prove too distracting during my day and day work. Seeing minimal with the MacBook Air M2 port selection, you will find out, and two Thunderbolt 4 over USB 4 port on the left side along with the MagSafe power updater. The latter connection make it easy to attach the cable connector and magnetically to the system. It also helps prevent the laptop from falling should someone accidentally tug hard on the cable. I'm really thankful Apple added this back. The right side has a headphone jack for those still using weird headphones, and it's nice to have just a case. Your wireless earbud and the wireless headphone ran out of power. Watching the trail of the Minions, the race of Gru, I was captivated by the level of the detail in little Gru eyes, hair and the scarf as he exploded down the road on the jet power bike, and plus the picture was bright enough and that I would enjoy the action from wide viewing angle. And the MacBook Air M2 panel impressed our lab test as well. I averaged 489 nits of the brightness and peaked at 495 nits with HDR content. The slightly better than when the MacBook Pro M2 turned in 474 over 490 nits in the same test, and brighter than the Dell XPS 13 OLED 375 nit average. Just are good in terms of the color reproduction and accuracy. The Air M2 display registered 107% of sRGB color gamuts and 75.9% of the more demanding DCI-P3 color spacing and XPS 13 OLED notch, a higher 117% and 83% respectively. The Air Delta accuracy scores of 0.2 was the same as the XPS 13. Thing I can say about the MacBook Air M2 is that it's easily handled my prime day deal work, and which is pretty freaking intense. With easy, I was juggling dozens of the open tab in Google Chrome, jumping between a lot of stock message and editing photo and Photoshops, all while updating files to our CMS, and the MacBook Air M2 power through it all with AC. I noticed not only time when the new Air showed legs, and that was when I had more than 100 tabs opening Chrome across multiple windows. But in general, I didn't notice a step down in performance for everyday tasks versus the MacBook Pro 14 inches with M1 Pro chip, and which is pretty big compliment. M2 easily beat the best window laptop, defeating notebooks like the Asus ZenBook S13 OLED 7607 and Lenovo Yoga 91 Gen 7 and 7140. However, the new Dell XPS 13 Plus with a 12 Gen intercore i7 reached a higher 10621. On our handbreakers video editing test with the involved transcoding a 4K video clip, and the new MacBook Air M2 took 7 minutes 52 seconds to complete the task. The previous Air M1 needed 19.15 that quick improvement. However, the MacBook Pro M2, which has active cooling for better and sustainable performance, took a minute less than new Air at 6 hours 51. The Dell XPS 13 Plus took 8 hours 31 and the Yoga 9 I needed hour. MacBook S13 OLED took a speedier 18 hours 15 but was still shorter than the MacBook Air M2. MacBook Air M2 and the MacBook Pro M2 were evenly matched in the plug bench of the Adobe CC Photoshop test, and the new score 821 to Pro 817. But the Pro winded its lead on the Premiere Pro window and video editing test, notched 552 compared to 452 for a new Air. The Dell XPS 13 Plus score only 670 is on Photoshop test and 276 in the Premium Pro test. But I never felt like the Air M2 was slowing me down. My biggest complaint is that the new Air is stuck sporting only a single external monitor up to 7K. I would have preferred the option to plug into two monitors at once, which many Windows laptops in the price range offer. MacBook Air M2 came with the 10-core GPU and not the standard 8-core CPU on the $1199 model, but we can share how the GPU performed and will follow up once we test the entry-level unit. The rise of the Thor Raider, for example, MacBook Air M2 achieved a fairly smooth 27 FPS, 30 FPS, and battery is ideal. For the resolution set 1920 x 1200 at 2940 x 1920, that dipped to 15.3 FPS. The MacBook Pro M2 scored a slightly lower 24.9 and 12.2 FPS respectively. Want to charge more rapidly? There is 67W USB-C power adapter for the $20, but I doesn't use MagSafe. Now subscribe this channel, What Technical, and press the bell icon.